Introducing the B1 Rolodex, the easiest way to search for and support FBA and B1 businesses. Hundreds of entries from the Black grassroots for the Black grassroots. Free to use, free to download, constantly updated. Trouble navigating the document? Try using the map version. Notice a business missing? Use this simple Google form to submit an FBA or B1 business. Also submit anti-Black businesses, which are now being collected in that last tab. Find resources, contact numbers, and much more using the second tab. All the info you need to start practicing group economics today. Go to blacktruthunited.com. That's blacktruthunited.com.
Warning. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use, for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
In this crooked game of power politics here in America, the Negro, namely the race problem, integration, civil rights issue, are all nothing but tools used by the whites who call themselves liberals against another group of whites who call themselves conservatives, either to get into power or to retain power. Among whites here in America, the political teams are no longer divided into Democrats and Republicans. The whites who are now struggling for control of the American political throne are divided into liberal and conservative camps. The white liberals from both parties cross party lines to work together toward the same goal, and white conservatives from both parties do likewise. The white liberal differs from the white conservative only in one way. The liberal is more deceitful, more hypocritical than the conservative. Both want power, but the white liberal is the one who has perfected the art of posing as the Negro's friend and benefactor. And by winning the friendship and support of the Negro, the white liberal is able to use the Negro as a pawn or a weapon in this political football game that is constantly raging between the white liberals and the white conservatives.
What it do, family and friends? Welcome back to the Church of Black Power. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell so you can be notified whenever videos like this drop. Please make sure you're hitting that like and share button so we can beat up the algorithm. Make sure we get this message out to the ears that need to hear. And if you have not done so yet, please click that link in the description. Go to change.org and put your signature on the petition for reparations. And with that being said, family, welcome back to another Sunday service. I'm glad to have you all here. I got to start off by saying I got to give a congratulations. Got to give a congratulations to our brother Terrence Crawford. You know, the young brother then pulled out another one. He then became, 42-0 out of this situation after this one here. So, you know, much love to him. You know, he's being put in the conversation with a bunch of greats. So, you know, as he should be. So much love to him. I hadn't seen, the fight. I was going to wait until after I did this broadcast to go and take a look at it. But, a friend of mine once told me, if you don't want things spoiled, you got to stay off the internet. And trust me, I should have listened to that because it was all over the place as soon as I opened up my phone. I'm not mad at it, family, to be honest with you. I'm okay with it. You know, I was able to see this part right here, and it was hilarious.
Yo, even looks at him like, what?
As far as I'm concerned, family, that right there was the golden moment. So yeah, I don't even need to see the rest of it, to be honest with you. But shout out to Terrence Crawford, family. You know, he makes the ancestors proud with them hands, you know what I mean? And I heard some conversation going on about whether or not boxing is a Black American sport, whether or not it's in our blood, and that's why we excel at boxing. And a lot of people got to remember, and I have to bring this up often whenever people are talking about boxing and whether or not it's a Black American sport, a foundational Black American sport. People tend to forget that the slave owners used to get together, have their little parties, get drunk, and then they would have the slaves fight each other. This is where the modern day boxing comes from, because they would place bets on those slaves in the very same way people place bets on the boxers. So, you know, yeah, it's not even a question. To all the Latinos that's trying to take claim, and to all the little Europeans and all this other stuff, no. There's been many forms of hand fighting. I'll give you that. But boxing in itself, the modern day boxing, that stems directly out of the slaves. Gotta hate it, gotta like it, whatever you gotta do, go and do it. But I'm gonna tell you one thing you can't do is change the fact. Now, let's get into the salutes before we get into the nitty gritty here. A B1 salute and shalom to our sister Aquarius Minded. Thank you for being here. Our sister Hurricane Nisi in the building. Much love to you. Thank you for being here. Our brother A1, AO is in the building. I don't know why I was about to call you A1. It's because you're A1 in my book, brother. Much love to you. Thank you for being here, family. As well as RBJ. Much love to you. Thank you for being here. Tatum Man, thank you for being here. Our sister C. Terry, shalom, and thank you for being here. Our sister Andrea Jones, thank you, and shalom. Thank you for being here. Our brother Black Truth United, thank you for being here. And also thank you for your Cash App donation, family. Your contribution is always appreciated. Our family Reparation Nation in the building. Much love to you. Thank you for being here. Shalom to our sister Priscilla Taylor. Thank you for being here. Kurat is in the building. Much love to you. Thank you for being here. Our brother Christopher Ellis is in the building. Much love to you. Thank you for being here. And also thank you for your Cash App. Your donation is also blessed, and I appreciate your contribution as always, my brother. Let's see. Want to make sure our sister Mia Kim is in the building. Much love to you. Thank you for being here, as well as Black RU is in the building. Much love to you. Thank you for being here. Bear with me. Our sister Tasting Teas with Tony is in the building. Much love to you. Thank you for being here. Our brother Jesse Paris is in the building. Much love to you. Thank you for being here. Our brother Antithesis is in the building. Much love to you and thank you for being here. As well as our brother Eddie Foster is in the building. Much love to you. Thank you for being here. FLA Trucker 1024 is also in the building. Much love to you. Thank you for being here. And for everybody who's not in the chat, much love to you. Thank you for being here. And to everybody who's going to catch it on the replay. Now, family, I'm going to be honest with you. Matter of fact, let me see that hit one more time before we go into this. Yo, even looks at him like, what? All right. So anyway, family, I had this live set up. Basically, I had everything sent to myself before the Charlie Kirk situation happened. And, you know, I don't want to stay in this whole news loop of Charlie Kirk, and what they're calling political violence. And for the record, hate speech isn't political speech. Let's just make sure that that's very clear, because there's a lot of rhetoric going around, people talking about political violence this, political violence that. If you don't agree with his politics, what he was speaking had nothing to do with politics. It was all hate speech. And you can't take hate speech and claim it to be political speech. It's just not. But that's the whole news narrative, and that's all that's in the news cycle right now, whenever you go through looking through stuff. So I told myself I did not want to get caught in that continuous loop unless something important happens. So I wanted to go back and touch on this situation with the young lady from Ukraine who came over here and was, poked in the neck out in North Carolina. Arena Zaruska is her name. Now, before we get into it, I'm going to give my condolences to the young lady. Okay. This has nothing to do with the young lady personally. I don't know the young lady personally. This has nothing to do with whether she's at fault or not. I'm not saying any of that. That's not where this is going. I just want to be perfectly clear about that. What we are going to discuss is the weaponizing of her death against Black Americans. That's what we're here to talk about today. And so we're going to have this tale of two Americas. And this is my third part. I did 2 different videos named the same thing, some couple years back or something like that. Especially with the Kyle Rittenhouse situation. That was one of the first Tale of Two Americas that I actually reported on. But I want to make sure that we're showing the hypocrisy, one. And then also, I want to make sure that you guys know that the world sees America's hypocrisy by doing so. By running around here trying to make us out to be the bad guys when the bad guy is sleeping in their own homes. When the problem to worry about is actually in their own backyards. Let's be very clear about that. Salute, excuse me. Salute on code Kilgore B1, excuse me. And then also salute the Retro Gemini in the building, 99 in the building. Much love to you, as well as the Hula Gang. Now let's go here, family, because I had to make a decision on whether I was going to include this clip because, I did not, like I said, want to get pulled into this loop of continuous Charlie Kirk. However, I'm going to have to include this clip because I feel like this is one of the catalysts with them weaponizing the young lady's death. So, the dead man himself, he had some things to say about it, and we're going to play it. Salute to our brother, Breeze Omega in the building. Much love to you.
Okay, everybody, you've probably heard the situation that happened in North Carolina. Say the name Irina Zarutska. Irina Zarutska was just riding public transit. By the way, she was a refugee from Ukraine, of all places, and she came to Charlotte, North Carolina. And a terrible person, well, you saw what happened. I can't describe it here on TikTok without some sort of community guideline being violated. But if you haven't seen the video, you absolutely should. This individual should not have been on the streets, 14 prior arrests. And it really makes you wonder, why are we putting up with this? Why are we allowing so many people that have committed these crimes to keep on being released? The magistrate judge continued to release this individual, and this is a horrific thing. It's really interesting. The media was totally covering George Floyd, tens of thousands of articles, reconfigured and changed the entire American body politic. Yet when it came to Irina Zarutska, the entire media was quiet, silent. In fact, we forced them to cover the story. Why do you think that is? What was the difference between George Floyd and Irina Zarutska? Why did the left care so much about George Floyd and they couldn't care less about Irina Zarutska? What could the difference be? I wonder. Would love for you guys to leave some comments.
Oh, Charlie. Oh, boy. Where do I start? Where do I start? I can tell you the difference in a lot of situations. I can tell you how, you guys have taken this young lady's death and then springboarded her into this Mother Mary figure, this martyr type situation, just like they just did with Charlie Murphy. They're trying to do with Charlie Murphy. And the same, well, not Charlie Murphy, excuse me, Charlie Kirk. They should pedestalize Charlie Murphy. But the same thing that Charlie Kirk, they were trying to do with him, pedestalize him, trying to take away all the negative things that he said. Now, I don't know this young lady. I don't know if she's ever said anything against us. She's ever been racist, nothing like that. So I am not comparing her to him. My point is, I can tell you what they've never done in a situation where it's a black person. Even with George Floyd, you all were running around and still running around, making fun, showing pictures of him with the knee on his neck, all kind of stuff. And shout out the Red Joker because, he's reposting some of those receipts and he's letting y'all know, I am not letting up because of stuff like this. And as he should. So shout out to Red Joker. Also, I know for dang sure that when those type of situations happen to us, y'all don't put that, like we have to force y'all to talk about it as well. Y'all talking about they have to be forced to talk about this in the media. Family, it would seem like every damn media company not only took to this, but started putting a white, shining, glowing light behind the young lady's head and putting the devil spotlight on the perpetrator. Now, I'm not saying the perpetrator wasn't wrong, but they ain't leaving it at the perpetrator. They're sitting here trying to put out a wide net across the black community due to actions of one person that we have nothing to do with. And they don't do this in their own communities. We all know that. We know that for certain. Salute still Kevin Trees. Thank you for being here, as well as FBA Convo and our brother Iron Will in the building. Much love to all of you. Thank you for being here. I'm going to show you another thing that don't really happen. Dr. Phil don't come out talking for us or speaking about situations when we're unalived or anything like that. And everybody follows suit. As soon as Charlie Kirk started this, everybody followed suit. And I'm not saying he started. I mean, as soon as he started talking on it, now you started hearing all these different people within the Magite community, all these different folks within mainstream, lamestream media, all using the same narrative. Excuse me. It's been a long day, family. Forgive me. All using the same narrative. Criminal, criminal, criminal. We got to keep these criminals, all when showing the person who unalived that young lady, Irina. And all they were doing was trying to play that association game. I don't have to say black people are the criminals when I keep just yelling out criminals, criminals, criminals while holding a picture of a black man. Right? It's the same thing that Hillary Clinton did with the super predators comment. When she was speaking about black folk, Hillary Clinton made sure to say super predators. When Joe Biden was speaking about black folks, he made sure to say jungles, criminals, thugs. So the reason why I played that clip with our brother Malcolm X explaining the political football that the liberals and the Republicans play, and we're going to be speaking more about the Republicans here today. But the reason why I played that clip is because a lot of people tend to forget that Donald Trump, he was a liberal first. He was a Democrat first. In the very same way that Hillary Clinton was running around calling us super predators, in the very same way that Joe Biden was running around saying jungles, criminals, thugs. When the situation with the Central Park 5 happened, what did Donald Trump do? Put out a whole goddamn article calling for the unaliving of those 5 kids. So today, all we're seeing is Donald Trump, I guess you could say, tap back into his liberal ways. But before we get there, because we will get there, I want to go here. We're gonna let Dr. Phil say what Dr. Phil has to say on the situation, because you know we got to take some things into account, because there's going to be some questions that I have to ask and answer a little bit later.
By now, you've seen the surveillance video of the cold-blooded murder aboard a Charlotte, North Carolina light rail. Today's real story is that Charlotte's Democratic leadership apparently didn't want you or anyone to see that video. Now, why do I say that? Because you didn't see it for like 2 weeks. Charlotte's mayor did everything possible to keep that horrific video under wraps for 2 weeks. Local media either missed or ignored the magnitude, the implications of the crime. Now, I say that because this story is tragic on so many different levels. Let's just start with the ultimate tragedy, the death of an innocent young woman, 23-year-old Irina Zarutska, a Ukrainian refugee who fled for a better life. To save her life, she moved to the U.S. with her mother, sister, and brother. Now, friends described her as a passionate artist who loved sculpting and designing clothing. She was also an animal lover who often cared for her neighbor's pets. So this wasn't some kind of wild woman who was somewhere she shouldn't be doing something she shouldn't be doing. This was an innocent young woman who was on public transit. And this is how her life ended, alone, riding.
Now, family, I want you to pay attention to all the wording, the key words, the hit words that this man is using, because it's going to be very important when we break down some other situations a little bit later to answer those questions that must be asked and to answer those questions that must be answered. Let's go.
On public transportation, scrolling on her phone, completely unaware that a deranged lunatic would come up behind her and slash her to death. So who did this? The suspect is a 35-year-old DeCarlos Brown Jr., a career criminal who has been arrested not once, not twice, not 3, not 4, not 5 times, 14 different times. He unfolded a pocket knife, stood behind Irina, and stabbed her multiple times, and then just wandered through the train, dripping blood, stripping off his hoodie and calmly waiting for the next stop. Their surveillance video shows Irina's look of horror right after the attack. This happened on August 22nd. Again, the video of the attack wasn't released for 2 whole weeks. Now, during that time, the brutal murder was downplayed by local media and the city's mayor. When the video went public, the mayor went so far as to thank the media for keeping silent. She posted, quote, "The video of the heartbreaking attack that took Irina Zarutska's life is now public, and I want to thank our media partners and community members who have chosen not to repost or share the footage out of respect for Irina's family." Really? But the mayor wasn't protecting the victim's family. She was protecting her reputation. Until the video was released, the local media treated Zarutska's murder as a run-of-the-mill crime blotter story. Here are the headlines from the days following the attack.
Now, family, it's I'm gonna run it back just a few seconds, a few minutes, excuse me. And I want you to hear how this man is speaking about them not releasing the videotape and the reason behind it that he feels. It is very important to pick up on that.
By local media and the city's mayor. When the video went public, the mayor went so far as to thank the media for keeping silent. She posted, quote, "The video of the heartbreaking attack that took Irina Zarutska's life is now public, and I want to thank our media partners and community members who have chosen not to repost or share the footage out of respect for Irina's family." Really? Really? But the mayor wasn't protecting the victim's family. She was protecting her reputation. Until the video was released, the local media treated Zarutska's murder as a run-of-the-mill crime blotter story. Here are the headlines from the days following the attack. Charlotte Observer. Woman fatally stabbed in Charlotte South End. Suspect hospitalized, police say. Charlotte CBS station. Victim. Suspect identified in deadly South End stabbing, police say.
All right, before we continue, do you see how this man is literally on their head about not releasing the videotape? Right? We don't get this same energy when we're speaking about people in our community. We still haven't seen the videotape from Carmelo's situation, have we? And they're refusing to release it to the public. They're saying, oh, well, law enforcement can come and see it. But yet they haven't released it to the public. We haven't heard anything from anybody. Nobody's saying, oh, they're trying to protect themselves. Nobody's saying, oh, no, the truth of the matter is, if you release the tape, there's going to be something on it you don't want people to see. Only people that's saying that is us. 9 times out of 10, they haven't released the tape yet, because if they would have released the tape, it would show what really happened. And this is more evidence that they would. Look, it's the very same thing that they're doing in this situation. They have evidence that this man, and the man's name, hold on. We're going to take a little detour real quick. Quick detour. The man's name, and this is from a different article here. White House torches media after killer's mother admits son should have been jailed before Zarutska murder, right? I want you to see what this man's name is. This man's name is DeCarlos Dewan Brown Jr. DeCarlos Dewan Brown Jr. I'm not trying to make fun of this situation. I am not. But family, tell me, do you feel the same thing that I feel in my gut? Because it kind of feels like there's a little bit too many DeCarlos Dewan. I'm just saying, it might be me. Maybe I'm putting on my tinfoil kufi right now. I don't know. But DeCarlos Dewan Brown, I mean, that's one too many, you know what I'm saying, all in the same name. You got 3 names. Well, really 4 because you're a junior. Got DeCarlos Dewan? I don't know, family. We'll leave that at that. But like I said, they have a picture and a video of that man committing the crime, and they're putting that on just full repeat. Everywhere you look, they're playing it on the news. Even if it's not playing the part where he's stabbing a woman, they're playing the part where he's unfolding it and getting up close and all this other stuff. This is what they want people to keep in the psyche. That's why they keep on showing it everywhere. On the Republican networks and on the Democrat networks, they're both doing the exact same thing. Salute to our sister Shalonda Cole in the building, as well as our sister Starte Jones in the building. Much love to the both of you for being here. Let's get back over here and let this man finish.
A week later, still no outrage, just more mundane headlines. Judge denies bond for accused light rail killer. Accused Charlotte light rail killer to remain in jail, undergo competency evaluation, judge orders. Now, I'll say it again. The mayor, in my opinion, wasn't protecting the victim's family. She was protecting her reputation. And mission accomplished. Not one national media outlet picked up the story until the video finally came to light. Congressman Brad Knott called the mayor out. He posted, "The mayor's refusal to condemn senseless, horrific, and preventable violence is as telling as it is despicable. Violent criminals, regardless of who they are or what they look like, need to be in jail." So, who is this suspect? Let's take a look at his rap sheet. Dozens of charges, including felony larceny, armed robbery, and communicating threats. 2015 to 2020, he served 5 years in prison for armed robbery. 2020, months after release, arrested for assaulting his own sister. January 2024, charged with misusing the 911 system. He told his sister from jail that material inside his body made him do it. He was homeless on the streets at the time of this fatal stabbing. He was clearly in need of help. There's no doubt about that. You may be sitting there thinking, now, wait a minute, Dr. Phil, you are a mental health professional. You are someone that should have compassion for this individual. It's not compassionate to turn someone like this loose. It's not compassionate to parole someone like this, to release someone like this, to put someone like this out on the street. If you're wanting to protect the public, it's not compassionate to turn someone like this loose on an unsuspecting public. It's not compassionate for the individual to put them out if they cannot control themselves and they're likely to do something that they will seriously regret and seriously be ultimately held accountable for. How is that compassionate to the public or to the perpetrator? It is impossible not to be outraged. Even President Trump weighed in.
Just viciously stabbed. She's just sitting there. So they're evil people. We have to be able to handle that. If we don't handle that, we don't have a country.
And Attorney General Pam Bondi.
This young woman died a horrific death, as we all saw captured on video. It was horrible. The steps are, we charge, then we indict, then legally we make the decision whether or not to seek the death penalty. That is certainly on the table.
FBI Director Kash Patel, quote, "The brutal attack on Irina."
Now, family, I want you to notice something that's happening here that I had to point out about the situation with Charlie Kirk. Can anybody tell me the situation I pointed out with Charlie Kirk that we're seeing happening here as well? Anybody remember what situation we called out with Charlie Kirk? Well, for those who don't remember, why is the FBI involved in local business? It's not under their jurisdiction. This is a local matter. This matter belongs to the police in the city of North Carolina, where it happened. So why is the FBI butting their nose in this situation? These are the questions that always run through my mind when I see something that doesn't belong. You ever, do you guys remember that song? One of these things are just like the other. One of these things are kind of the same. When something ain't supposed to be there, and it's not supposed to be there, it's not like the others, I start asking questions. And the number one being, why the hell is the FBI including themselves in this? And we're about to get to why in a very short while.
Zarutska was a disgraceful act that should never happen in America. The FBI immediately surged into action to ensure justice is served and to make clear that violent criminals will never be allowed to walk free again. Then, if you think this can't get even more sickening, yeah, someone created a GoFundMe for Brown, for the stabber, for the perpetrator, a GoFundMe account for this individual. One fundraiser wrote, it was to fight against racism and bias against our people. Do you think Irina Zarutska or her family give a tinker's damn what race, color, creed the perpetrator was?
Family, let me touch on that. Because we don't know who started that GoFundMe. I didn't start it. Nobody in the Black grassroots started it that I saw. And it was taken down almost immediately. So I'm going to be honest with you. from what I heard, that he said out of his mouth that it was meant to fight against these folks and to protect our people from these folks. Like, we don't even talk like that. We don't. I'm believing in my heart of hearts that that was some op activity stuff. Because now they're trying to make it seem like it's everybody in the black community supporting this person who just randomly stabbed some woman in the neck on a goddamn train. This is not the Carmelo Anthony situation. Carmelo was protecting himself from two brutes who would not leave him alone, not just leave him alone, but they physically assaulted him. This is a story of a man who has mental issues, they say, who lost touch with reality and started stabbing up a white woman. These are not the same issues. But yet they're trying to make it seem like we support this person, this DeCarlos DeJuan Brown Jr., in the very same way that we supported Carmelo. That is not the case. So yeah, I believe whoever created that GoFundMe was trying to set that intention, trying to set that, I'm forgetting what it's called, projection. That's what they wanted to project to the world, that, oh, everybody in the black community agrees with him, so we should be mad at the black community. They're already going around using this man as a proxy for the black community. So yeah, it's not too far off that somebody in their community created that nonsense.
Do you think she's any less dead because you want to throw the race card up on the table? Come on. Now, GoFundMe has since pulled the page down because their policies don't allow it. These liberals who want to say that this is a...
Notice what he just did. He was just literally talking about black folks because he talked about the race card. And then he went immediately into these liberals. So they're trying to tie us in as a lineage, a whole lineage, a group of people into a political standpoint, a political party. The liberals, these liberals, as if there aren't black folk who are independent, as if they're not black folk who vote Republican. But that's exactly what he just did with his wording and his wordplay. Go from speaking about the race card to then saying these liberals. Salute Golden Brown. Thank you for being here, family.
Lack of compassion that the system has failed this individual may have a point. The system failed this individual when they put him back out on the street. They failed society by turning a violent criminal loose on an unsuspecting population. They failed the individual by not keeping that person from doing further harm. They failed the system by not getting that person the help they needed. But the solution wasn't to turn them loose. Oh, here's a gift. We'll turn you loose so you can murder somebody and then be held accountable for that. If this was your son, would you want the system to protect him from himself or turn him loose so he can do worse? Liberals need to.
Now, family, I want you to understand what this so-called doctor is advocating for. Because what he's explaining, oh, salute Ronnie, much love to you. I hope you enjoy it. What he's explaining is quite literally, no matter whether they did their time for whatever crime they did or not, if they have a mental illness, then to lock their ass up. You should lock them up and protect the rest of the world from that person with the mental illness. You don't know if this person going to become a violent person. You don't know if he's going to be violent towards anyone else after he served his time, but still keep him locked up to protect him. And he didn't give a time frame. I want y'all to notice that. He's talking indefinitely. He's not talking, oh, and get him some help and make sure that, no, he's saying don't release them back on the streets. That's permanent. Well, let's continue.
To acknowledge that crime is out of control and criminals need to be held accountable. If they're doing it for a lack of mental health, if they are doing it because of mental illness, whether it is psychological, neurological, or whatever, putting them on the street is not an answer. Listen to CNN analyst John Miller.
Notice how he keeps on reiterating that same damn point. He's making sure, and he's a doctor, he knows what he's doing. In the very same way when Dr. Umar repeats himself 3 or 4 damn times, 3 times to be more specific. He knows what he's doing.
Praise Charlotte as a low crime city.
Well, if you look at Charlotte, their crime is actually taking a dramatic turn in the right direction. Their murders down 29% as of the July numbers I read through. Aggravated assault, which would capture stabbing, shootings, and other assaults, is down 25%. So you look at Charlotte, and like many of these cities that are telling the story, their violent crime is trending in the right direction.
They cherry pick data. What is the gain here? What is the point? Headlines say crime in Charlotte is down 29% this year. Zero context.
Family, I know this man ain't running around here talking about people cherry picking data. Now, I'm not swinging the bat for either team, but I'm going to tell you the truth. They both cherry pick data like a mother lover. This is where you get all this 13% of the population, 50% of the crime nonsense. Cherry pick data. That's also how you get a lot of the numbers that these people are running around talking about per capita. Is cherry pick data. When you look at the data as a whole, the data really doesn't say what they're saying it says. That's why Charlie Kirk was just a babbling idiot to many of us, because the only thing he can do is run around and lie and try to sound as intelligent as possible while lying. If I can outlie you, then that's all that matters, because lying is what? Warfare. And what? We're at war. We remain at war. And the supremacists know that. So they basically then told you they've gotten to the point in their lives where they don't give a damn about truth at all. And yes, we've seen it prior to this. We've seen it with them trying to erase history and revise it and all this other stuff. But what Charlie Kirk was doing was just saying, I don't give a damn whether you have statistical data on your side or not. I'm just going to lie through my teeth and sound as intelligent as I can when doing so. And hopefully I just bring in more baby supremacists. I'm just saying, if you're going to talk about cherry picking, but let's continue.
Instead of looking at 6 months, look at the big picture. From 2010 to 2014, Charlotte averaged 53 killings a year. The next 5 years, that number rose to an average of 75. Over the last 5 years, the city has averaged 106 homicides, including 122 in 1 year. Charlotte has a violent crime rate that is almost twice the national average. But yet this CNN analyst wants to go on and brag about their crime statistics. Charlotte's overall crime rate is 46 incidences per 1,000 residents, which is higher than 97% of cities in the United States. In this case, So many things went wrong. Bad politics, poor journalism, a mental health crisis, and a broken court system. We need to stop focusing on trying to win arguments and start trying to solve problems. We need to start finding solutions. But when we do, it will be too late for Irina. Aren't you growing weary of people waiting until there's a tragic circumstance, a tragic situation, a stupid loss, and then saying, okay, now we're going to pay attention? Why don't we pay attention right now before the next tragic preventable loss?
Like I said, family, pay attention to what this man is advocating for. Salute to HVAC-R. Much love to you. Thank you for being here, as well as BG. Much love to you. Thank you for being here. Family. So now we can move to where the president starts sending out his stooges to mimic the same damn type of talking points, to bring the same type of attention onto us.
The most enraging and unacceptable part of this story is that her death was entirely preventable. DeCarlos Brown never should have been on that train that night. In fact, he should have been behind bars. DeCarlos Brown has been charged with crimes no fewer than 14 times, dating back to 2011, including for armed robbery, felony larceny, breaking and entering, and shoplifting. Brown had previously served 5 years in prison for a robbery with a deadly weapon charge, and he had also forfeited bonds 3 different times, twice in 2014 and once in 2023. Despite all of this past documented criminal history, when Brown was arrested yet again in January of this past year, a Democrat judge, who I will add was a strong supporter of former Vice President Kamala Harris, released this insane criminal once again without requiring him to pay any bail. He simply had to sign a written promise to return for his court hearing. Think about how crazy it is to ask a career criminal, someone who by definition repeatedly breaks the law, to just sign a written promise and come back again another day. This is madness. This monster should have been locked up, and Irina should still be alive. But Democrat politicians, liberal judges, and weak prosecutors would rather virtue signal than lock up criminals and protect their communities. And perhaps most shamefully of all, the majority of the media.
All right. So y'all see them weaponizing this now, all the way down to the point where Donald Trump himself has come out and said now, TMZ has reported, Donald Trump calls for charlatan train stabbing suspect to receive death penalty. And this is what he had to say. The animal. Now, remember, I said all he's doing is going back and pulling back to the old liberal Donald Trump, because the very same thing that he did with the Central Park 5, wrong or right here, he's calling for the exact same thing. The animal who so viciously killed the beautiful young lady from Ukraine, who came to America searching for peace and safety, should be given a quick, there is no doubt, trial, and only awarded the death penalty. There can be no other option, President Donald J. Trump. Like I said, he's doing the exact same things that the Democrats were doing with the crime bill and everything else. So 2 wings on the same dirty damn pigeon, but that goes double time for Donald Trump, because he used to be a liberal. He used to be a Democrat. He used to ride with the Clintons. He used to ride with all those folks over there on the blue party side. So it goes double time for him. Let's be very clear about that. Salute to Faith Speaks Life, my sister. Thank you for being here, as well as your Cashapp donation. I appreciate your donation. Your donation is blessed, and it is always appreciated. Much love to you, my sister. So he's using the same damn talking points, rhetoric situation that the Blue Party has been using for a while. So it's not like this is the same political damn football that Malcolm X was speaking about in the clip that I played in the beginning. No friends whatsoever when it comes to these politics. Both of them demonize you and demonize our community without a second thought. So after that, it seems like what ended up happening is the feds actually stepped in and took on the case. Now, DeCarlos DeJuan Brown Jr., he's going to be given federal charges. Let's go here, family.
So a big update now to a story we've been following here at home. The suspect accused of stabbing a Ukrainian refugee on a North Carolina commuter train is now facing federal charges. In just the last hour or so, you heard DOJ officials calling this a terroristic act. And because these are federal charges, this means the suspect could be eligible for the death penalty. There's been a big uproar after video of the murder of this 23-year-old woman circulated online. And now state officials.
Now, family, taking a note, they calling this a terroristic act. A mentally ill person stabbing a woman on the train is being called a terroristic act. And the FBI is stepping in to take care of the prosecution of this situation now. Keep that in mind, because it's going to be important.
Want to ramp up security on trains and in public spaces. I want to get to Gabe Gutierrez now. And Gabe, North Carolina, what has happened in Charlotte several weeks ago and over the course of the last several weeks has now become a real flashpoint nationally as it relates to the White House and some of their crime initiatives.
Yeah, that's right, Hallie. Look, the White House today, and for the last several days, has been highlighting this case, especially in the context of President Trump cracking down on crime, as White House officials say, in cities across the country. But this one in particular, because of that video, has really garnered so much attention. And the development now with that federal charge, the suspect, DeCarlos Brown Jr., now charged by federal authorities at the federal level with causing death on a mass transit system. Now, today, in their news conference, federal authorities talked about the 23-year-old Ukrainian immigrant and how she was just building her life here in the United States. President Trump himself, earlier today, posted on social media about this case, and he highlighted not just the suspect's lengthy criminal history, but also blamed Charlotte's bail system. Let's listen.
For far too long, Americans have been forced to put up with Democrat-run cities that set loose savage, bloodthirsty criminals to prey on innocent people. They've adopted a policy of catch and release for thugs and killers. In Charlotte, North Carolina, we saw the results of these policies when a 23-year-old woman who came here from Ukraine met her bloody end on a public train.
Now, the 23-year-old Nia Wilson, according to federal authorities, had been staying at a bomb shelter shortly before.
Now, family, that whole situation with him in the Oval Office, showing those pictures, yeah, that was him actually tossing himself into the mix, not giving a damn. So all of the black Magites, that's including you too. Just in case you didn't know, you're going to find out in the very same way that Kent Dance Owens found out. These folks, they're talking to you. They're talking about you.
Before she came to the U.S. Also today, Hallie, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said that his department would investigate this incident, and he's threatening to withhold federal funds if local leaders don't do more to protect riders on public transit.
Gabe, it is entirely possible that we could hear from the president himself on this again directly at this event that is scheduled to happen at the Oval Office. Looks like it's running a bit behind schedule. Talk us through that piece of it. Do we know when that's going to happen? Still TBD, right?
Yes.
Now, notice they're threatening to remove funding or withhold funding if the riders, if they don't do more to protect their riders. Do you think they're talking about their black riders or just the Nabisco ones? Well, we're going to check into that with this other situation that we're going to get into in just a little bit. But, you know, I'm just posing these questions because we're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about them.
It's one of those events where, you know, the president holding an event here at the White House. It has been delayed significantly now for about an hour, about a half hour or so. We're still waiting to see if he does open it up to press, and he'll certainly take questions on that. And as you were talking about with Richard Engel, there's certainly many other topics that reporters will ask him about.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the.
All right, so that was that. So now they're taking up the case. It's being federalized, and now they want to push for the death penalty because it's now a federal case. Because before, you couldn't put the death penalty on the table, apparently. And now that they didn't federalize the case, the death penalty has been put on the table. That's what they want to go for. Salute to our sister Donna C in the building. Much love to you. Like I said, family, and you're seeing so much of this idolization of this young lady being spread throughout the Magite community. Do you know these people raised money in order to paint murals of this young Ukrainian woman all over the United States? Did you know that Elon Musk donated $1 million for them to go around painting this Ukrainian woman all around the United States of America? Breaking funding has been secured for nearly 300 murals to be painted of Irina Zaruska. Of Irina Zaruska's face in American cities, location nationwide, after Elon pitched in $1 million. Yes. All the American first people come to the front of the classroom. I thought y'all was so American first. But yet y'all want paintings of a Ukrainian woman all over in American cities? You don't even want an American woman painted? I mean, you know, there's plenty of them to choose from. You know what? I'm going to hurt some people's feelings with this one. You guys didn't even do that for Ashley Babbitt. You guys didn't even do that for Ashley Babbitt. What is going on here? I thought you guys were American first. Oh, but you know, when it comes to this Ukrainian woman, oh, y'all put her up everywhere. We need a mural of her all across these United States. Huh. So much for American first, right? But if you thought that I was being hyperbolic when saying that Dr. Phil was calling for what he was calling for when it comes to the mental health or people with mental health issues. Family, I need you to understand that it starts with one and then they just start saying it all across the board. We have here on Fox News a black man being used as a mouthpiece, and once again as a puppet, to say something so egregious as we have to do something about the homeless and mental health issues, or people with mental health issues, even if it's locking them up permanently. And this Nabisco goes on to say, are forcefully lethal injectioning them. Let's go.
They have given billions of dollars to mental health and the homeless population. A lot of them don't want to take the programs. A lot of them don't want to get the help that is necessary. You can't give them a choice. Either you take the resources that we're going to give you, or you decide that you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill them.
Yeah, Brian, why?
They have given
involuntary lethal injection. This is what they're suggesting. And I don't like the fact that the brother is very disingenuous. He's saying that people are just refusing services. Well, you are talking about in these democratic cities, right? So we're talking about in sanctuary cities, right? Oh, so we're talking about sanctuary cities in democratic states, in democratic cities. What usually happens to the goddamn resources in those type of areas? Do they go to the citizens or do they go to illegals? So when you're talking about we have to force these services on them as if many of them wouldn't take them if you handed it to them, that's disingenuous as hell. In the same breath saying that it's a Democrat city. In the same breath saying that it's a sanctuary city. Which opens the door for this man when you said either you're going to take the services or be locked up. This man talking about forceful, lethal injection. Yeah, family, like I said, they're literally trying to put a target on our backs by doing so. And that's what their whole plan was. Unfortunately, the Charlie Kirk thing happened. And now they're scrambling, trying to figure out how in the hell to flip that and make that about black folk. Let's go here, family, before we go to this next segment that I have prepared for you. We got to talk about, you know what? Let's just let Ben Shapiro say what he had to say about Nia Wilson.
Unfortunately, Jesse, I think it's perfectly obvious why the media deep sixes this particular story. And the answer is perfectly obvious when you look at the races of the people involved. If this had been a black victim and a white perpetrator, then it would have led the news nightly for months on end. You would have had riots.
Family, put a pin in that because we're going to get back to it.
In the streets. If it's the reverse situation, the media will completely ignore it because it doesn't match up with their preferred narrative of a white supremacist country that is cracking down on black people, even though statistically speaking, obviously, the vast majority of crime is intraracial, meaning white on white or black on black. Black on white crime on a per capita basis is significantly higher than white on black crime. That does not match up with the media narrative about white supremacy in the United States.
Per capita, like I said, bullshit, cherry pick data that can't be proven because they put up these goddamn clips, these little pictures, right? These little snapshots of numbers as high as 530 something thousand black people attack white people on an average, while 90,000 white people attack black people on an average. Family, why don't the hate crime statistics show that data? That's one. Number two, the FBI statistics don't break those numbers down in racial areas. So it doesn't tell you how many black people have attacked white people. It doesn't tell you how many white people attack black people. Hell, the hate crime statistics is where they tell you how many people have been attacked by another race due to a prejudice or racist white supremacist thinking. That you get from the hate crime statistics. You don't get that from the FBI reports. So every time these people talking about, oh, well, statistically, they harm us more than we harm them, there is no way to prove that because they don't have those numbers. And then they start making up all these other numbers because that's what lying white supremacists have to do in order to make it seem like they have any amount of information correct. However, let's let them continue.
Do you also feel like they're sensitive to being called racist by their friends, family, and colleagues for highlighting black crime?
There's no question about that. In the echo chamber that the legacy media live in, if you even mention black on white crime, then you're immediately seen as racially discriminatory in some way, because the basic idea on the left is that white against black is really the story of America, as opposed to blacks committing crimes against white people. To even mention that is to undermine the entire narrative of the 1619 Project, for example.
By re-release,
family, and oh yeah, family. I do know that Ben Shapiro was on the Breakfast Club, and we're gonna break that down in another broadcast. I don't know why anybody let this man talk. Anytime this man opened his mouth to speak, it's nothing but lies. That can be easily disproven. But he tossed these things out there on a racist platform like Fox News, on a platform that's against us like the Breakfast Club. And he knows nobody's going to call them out because nobody in the room is there to call them out. Every single thing this man says can be debunked. But yet they keep giving this man a platform. He talks about how everybody's narrative is all about making it about whites doing things to blacks. The whole history of America is about whites doing things to blacks. From slavery and Jim Crow, black laws, god dang, civil rights was because people are doing things or were doing things to the blacks, as you like to call us, to the blacks. We still have redlining, banking discrimination, and everything else when it comes to buying cars, buying houses, whatever. Discriminatory, directed and targeted at us. So what do you mean? The real narrative should be black people doing things to white people. In these small little isolated instances where there is a black assailant, you can multiply that times 10 when it comes to us and white assailants. And you know what else? Nabisco women weaponizing the police department against us as well. Nabisco men weaponizing the police department against us. See, these people try to omit the history of the country because the history of the country doesn't favor the nonsense that's coming out of their mouths. Exactly. Just like CK. And if y'all didn't hear, he had to cancel his goddamn his tour that he has. But I think that the backlash of that, because I believe he also has a book coming out. So him canceling his tours wasn't going to go too well. And then he came out talking about, oh, you got to be crazy if you think I'm canceling my tours. So I'm not inciting violence, but with the way that he's speaking, I'm just saying.
These people out into society after 11, 12, 14 prior arrests. Isn't there something about self-preservation? The judges and the DAs alone, why would they do that? Why would they turn these people loose over and over again?
It's ideologically horrific. And I have a book called Lions and Scavengers about the mentality that suggests that if somebody is acting badly, they must be a victim. And that is the mentality that undergirds all of this. When you hear the mayor say that you can't incarcerate your way to safety, that's precisely wrong. You absolutely 100% can incarcerate your way to safety. We do not have an under-incarceration problem in America. We have an under-incarceration problem. We need these people locked up for longer periods of time. This particular person should have been involuntarily committed for mental illness. He had violent schizophrenia, or he should have been in prison.
Now, family, I'm glad that Shapiro was saying that, like I said, they're using the same talking points, all of them. But I'm glad that Shapiro said what he said at the beginning.
Unfortunately, Jesse, I think it's perfectly obvious why the media deep sixes this particular story. And the answer is perfectly obvious when you look at the races of the people involved. If this had been a black victim and a white perpetrator, then it would have led the news nightly for months on end. You would have had riots in this.
Okay, well, let's look at that. What happens when it is a black victim versus a white victim? Oh, let's get to this other side of America. Family, if you have not heard about the case of Nia Wilson, oh, let's get into that, shall we? Because if we're going to have this comparison, we might as well have some apples to apples. Am I right? Let's get over here to the roles being reversed.
Happening now, the man accused of stabbing 18-year-old Nia Wilson at a West Oakland BART station is on the stand in his own defense. And ABC 7 News is in the courtroom as his oftentimes bizarre testimony unfolds. Good morning to you. I'm Reggie Aki.
And I'm Kristen Z. Thanks for joining us. John Lee Cowell took the stand in the last hour, and so far, he has already talked about aliens, radio transmissions, and fake skin.
ABC 7 News reporter Amy Hollyfield is live outside the Oakland courthouse with the latest on today's proceedings. Amy?
Hi, good morning, Reggie. John Cowell is stoic on the stand. He is robotic. He is showing no emotion at all, staring straight ahead as he answers the questions. The defense attorney started by asking him about his mental history. John Cowell told the court he has been diagnosed with schizophrenia, depression, and bipolar disorder. He talked about hearing alien voices, about radio transmissions. The defense attorney asked him to explain about fake skin, which he explained is when aliens do surgery on people. You don't recognize them because they have fake skin. He has pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. He is accused of killing Nia Wilson at the MacArthur BART station in July of 2018. Her family has said they do not believe he is mentally ill, but thinks that he is faking it. Wilson's mother is here. She had tears rolling down her face in the lobby before we were even entered the courtroom. A very emotional day for her. Just before I left to come down and file this report, the defense was starting to ask Cowell about July of 2018 and if he remembered telling doctors he wasn't taking his medicine because voices in his head were telling him not to. He said he does not remember that. So they still have a lot of ground to cover. And then, of course, the prosecution will have the opportunity to cross-examine him.
Family, now let's get to some questions, shall we? Because I gotta ask the question. I got to. As a matter of fact, let's do this because there we go. Family, we must ask the questions. First question. This happened in Trump's first term, 2018. Did you hear Trump come out and speak about this at all? I didn't hear Trump speak about this not once. He didn't come out and say nothing about the beautiful Nia Wilson and how She had her whole life ahead of her. And it was taken away by a deranged maniac on a train. These criminals, did you hear any of that then? No, we didn't. And not only did he stab Nia, he went on and stabbed her sister as well and called them the N-word. Let's get into this article, family, because I want to make sure, and it's a short article. The man accused of stabbing Nia Wilson to death at the MacArthur BART station took the stand in his own defense Tuesday morning in an Oakland courtroom. Get that out of here. That's distracting. John Cowell, has entered a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. The judge has ruled him competent to stand trial. He is also accused of stabbing Wilson's sister, who survived the attack. Cowell was robotic while testifying, staring straight ahead and showing no emotion. He said he acted in defense of his family, adding that he thought Wilson and her sister were aliens who were about to harm his grandmother. His lawyer says he is mentally ill and was suffering from delusions. Family, did you hear Dr. Phil come out in 2018 talking about how all these people who with mental issues should be permanently locked up, shouldn't be released to the streets, released to the public? This man not only stabbed Nia, but he went on to stab her sister. Thank God her sister survived. We ain't hear any of this rhetoric then. His defense attorney started by asking him about his mental history. Cowell testified that he had been diagnosed with schizophrenia, depression, and bipolar disorder. He talked about hearing alien voices, radio transmissions, and fake skin, which he explained is when aliens do surgeries on people. He said you don't recognize them because they have fake skin. Where's Ben Shapiro? Did Ben Shapiro come out in 2018 talking about having all the mentally ill people locked up permanently? They shouldn't be on the streets. Did the Fox News brother over here, was he coming out at the time? Was Fox News at all saying anything about this? I doubt it, because I only found 2 news stories. Neither one of them was in depth. I had to go with the one with the most information. And as y'all can see with your own eyes, it's not a very long article. But I ain't hearing nothing and didn't hear nothing out of Fox News then, when the man named John Cowell was on the bus and train or whatever, going stab happy, then turn around and claim mental illness. We ain't hear none of that then. Hold on, let's get back over here. Let's get back over here, because we ain't done. We got to make this very simple and plain. Wilson's mother was in the courtroom for the testimony. She had tears rolling down her face while sitting in the lobby waiting for the courtroom to open. Police have said the attack on Nia Wilson was unprovoked and random. Prosecutor Butch Ford dropped a bombshell in the court during his cross-examination. He said Colwell called an African-American woman the N-word on an AC transit, but just after stabbing. So he didn't call Nia and her sister the N-word. He left the scene and called someone else an N-word. Let me ask you guys a question. Did the FBI step in and give them hate crime charges? No. No, they didn't. Did the FBI step in demanding the death penalty? Did Trump step in demanding the death penalty in this situation? No, they didn't. Even though this would qualify more as a hate crime. That prompted gasps in the courtroom and shocked even family members. If Colwell is convicted, and he was, he could be sentenced to life in prison without parole. And that's exactly what he was sentenced to. But guess what? The FBI didn't step in and say, we have to take this criminal out of the equation of society. They didn't step in and say, oh, this mentally ill maniac was going around racially stabbing people. We got to step in and put a hate crime on them. We didn't see none of that. We ain't see none of the selective outrage that we're seeing with this young lady, the Irina lady. We ain't seeing Elandra Muskie donating $1 million to her cause, or donating $1 million to have 300 murals put up of this beautiful sister right here, Nia Wilson. No, we're not seeing any of that. So when Ben Shapiro says, if the roles were reversed, if the colors were switched, there'd be riots in the streets. It was pretty quiet in 2018. In fact, this was barely talked about. Salute to our sister Bad 72 in the building. Much love to you. Thank you for being here. This was barely talked about. So when Dr. Phil is running around here talking about how these issues aren't discussed or wasn't being talked about or was trying to be put under the cover, it seems like in this case, the same damn thing happened. And it was a white man who did it. The Nabisco was the criminal at the time. I didn't hear Dr. Phil coming out demonizing him as a mentally ill person, saying that he shouldn't have been on the streets. You know what I did see, though? Instead of them making her look like a victim, like she was, you had pictures circulating of her like this. Now, mind you, this is just a phone charger. This is just a phone charger. But they were circulating this picture as if this was just a highlight of this young lady's life, as if she was just so dangerous herself, as if she was just a criminal, a hoodlum, a thug. Shout out to this brother Bay Area King, G-list celebrity, for making this statement. How many people showed love when this young lady was murdered the same way on the train? 1,000 beautiful pics of her, but they chose to use this one. Her name is Nia Wilson. Look up her case. White guy stabbed her for no reason. Where's this treatment? Where is this treatment? And she's an American. Y'all want to go around and make murals to a Ukrainian woman all over the United States. But when this beautiful sister is unalived, when the tables are turned, yeah, nothing much really happened. And I know there's a lot of people out there. Salute and shalom to our brother Damon Reeves in the building. Much love to you. Thank you for being here. I know there's a lot of people out there that's probably like, well, that was 2018. This is a whole new year. This is 2025. Yeah, I didn't hear about this situation with Nia Wilson. I didn't see it on any major news publications. It wasn't uplifted in a way that, then President Donald Trump was uplifting the now President Donald Trump with Irina. Of course, I didn't see him lifting up that Nabisco picture talking about criminality in 2018. But this is 2025. We have more information. Well, family, if you want to say that this is 2018 and there's no recent situations, you would be wrong. Let's go here.
First at 5 o'clock, a man wanted in Missouri is now in the Tulsa County Jail.
Oh, this is from earlier this year, 2025.
Accused of cutting a woman's throat on a city bus at the downtown bus station.
Oh, what happened? What happened? Hold up. Let's get it.
First at 5 o'clock, a man wanted in Missouri is now in the Tulsa County Jail, accused of cutting a woman's throat on a city bus at the downtown bus station. Thanks for joining us. I'm Lori Fulbright.
And I'm Jonathan Cooper. Police say it was a random attack. This is the second random knife attack in Tulsa in 2 weeks. Police tell News on 60's Reagan Ledbetter these types of attacks are fairly rare, and that's why this is so.
The second knife attack in Tulsa in 2 weeks. And like my brother Wild Williams, salute to you. Thank you for being here. Says crickets. Ain't heard much about this. It's not all over the news. They're not uplifting the young lady or the woman that had her throat slit. Now, luckily, this woman survived. But these are the same situations. These are apples to apple situations. We don't hear nothing about this. FBI ain't stepping in order to federalize the case.
concerning. Reagan?
Lauren, Jonathan, I talked to several people today who ride the bus every day who say they don't feel as safe anymore. One man told me he's seen people carrying large knives on the bus several times and didn't think much of it until now. Robert Rhodes and the victim got on the city bus at 81st and Lewis.
Once again, so the roles are reversed. The roles are reversed. And like I said, we're not hearing the same rhetoric for these people. And this person, I don't even think that he has a mental issue.
Monday afternoon and rode to downtown Tulsa. Witnesses told police Rhodes sat right behind the victim and had a large knife on his lap. The two didn't talk at all, but as soon as the bus stopped, the witnesses say he attacked her.
As they're getting to get off the bus, they stand up. He stands up, takes a knife, and slices her right in the throat and just takes off.
Several people told officers what the suspect looked like, and officers quickly found Rhodes down the street.
They get him handcuffed and secured, find a knife in his pocket, has blood on his shirt, has blood on his collar, has blood on the knife. He doesn't offer any resistance when we arrest him. They take him, they bring him down to the detective division to be interviewed. He doesn't offer any explanation for what happened.
The majority of violent crime in the city happens between people who know each other, so random attacks are fairly rare. Police arrested Jesse Brown 2 weeks ago after they say he attacked a woman he didn't know with a knife at Turkey Mountain. Police say they don't want people to live in fear, but people need to pay attention.
It shocks the conscience.
Wait a second. They don't want people living in fear in this situation, but when it comes to this Ukrainian Irina woman, not only do they want people to live in fear, but they want you to live in fear of foundational Black Americans, of Black folk. Oh, when it happens with the Nabisco, we don't want people to live in fear. This isn't 2018. This is 2025. Where's Trump on this? Where's the FBI on this? Where's Elandra to donate $1 million towards this? Yeah, we're not going to play this game. That's the tale of our two Americas, where you can have on one hand a group of people in government and everywhere else uplifting a non-citizen because she was unalived. But when you have situations in your own damn country, you're silent when it's the Nabisco. All to put a target on our backs. All to appease Trump's base.
Conscious when you have these crimes of these apparent victims who have done nothing. They don't know their attackers and they've been victimized. Keep your head in a swivel. Be aware of your surroundings. If you think that someone's dangerous, get some distance. Distance equals time.
Now, police say Rhodes is wanted in Missouri for domestic assault. Jonathan, some good news, though. Police say the victim is still in the hospital, but is expected to survive.
Okay, Reagan, thank you. And MetroLink bans weapons of any kind. The only exceptions are holstered handguns for self-defense or transporting unloaded rifles and shotguns in a case. MetroLink can't suspend riders for violating any of their policies.
Driven by your Oklahoma Ford dealers, this is News 9's Ford.
All right, family. So that's that situation. We've had two apple-to-apple comparisons. And literally, we know for certain that number one, Trump did not take 3 minutes out of his busy schedule to address either one of those situations that we just went over. Number two, the FBI ain't stepped in to either one of those situations that we just covered. Number three, Dr. Phil didn't say nothing about either one of those situations that we just covered. Elandra didn't donate $1 million to either one of those situations that we just covered. So where is all that outrage for those two situations that we just covered? Nia Wilson and the young lady that they did not release the name of. You don't see it. So when you see people like Ben Shapiro talking about if the shoe was on the other fence, we'll see rioting in the streets, and you can't really say nothing because it doesn't fit the narrative. Who is he trying to fool? Because he damn sure ain't fooling none of us. We're going to speak truth to power. And this was what their plan was. It was all about trying to scapegoat us. That's it. That's all. But the Most High works in mysterious ways, because that Charlie Kirk situation really showed and proved who they really got to keep their head on a swivel for. And that's each other. And that's each other. Not us. It wasn't one of us that got up on that roof and shot that bullet 200 yards away, hitting you in the neck and having you leak out your ketchup. That wasn't one of us. That was one of you. It wasn't one of us that participated in any of these school shootings. Right now, the count went from 44 all the way up to 47. No one's saying nothing. They're trying to make it seem like with the Charlie Kirk situation, the shooter in that case, it's all about he's a liberal, he's this, he's that. But they're not saying that he's Nabisco, he's white. They're not saying that this is white on white violence. They're not saying this is Nabisco on Nabisco. And they could try to make it about this person being liberal, even though his father and his mother were both registered Republicans, even though this dude is seen in a video clip dressed up in all this Trump 2024 gear. They're trying to say now that the dude, he was dating a trans. He was, gay. There's no other way to put it. And that's why he did this. Well, regardless of the reason, none of that takes away from the, situation that he was white. So while y'all out here trying to make us the face of criminality and evil, all you're doing is breeding a whole new generation of criminality and evil. Because y'all want to address your white on white issue, because y'all address your barbaric culture, you're breeding more out of that barbaric culture. In the very same way, we're going to talk about it here. We got to go here. In the very same way, Colorado, in the very same day that Charlie Kirk got shot, there was a mass shooting in Colorado. Let's go here.
Well, Charlie Kirk's assassination at Utah Valley University marks the 46th shooting at a U.S. school this year.
And less than an hour.
His is 46. The next one, 47.
Hour later, a shooting happened at a Colorado high school. Amy Kiley has the latest in the 47th school shooting of the year in the U.S.
I was scared and I felt like sick because I was worried.
2 students are wounded and the juvenile suspect is dead after a shooting at a Denver area high school yesterday. The sheriff's office says the gunman opened fire with a revolver. This video shows terrified students fleeing the scene and ringing a doorbell at a nearby home. Others describe being inside Evergreen High School when the shooting began.
There was a message over the intercom and they basically just said that they were going into lockdown.
Police say first responders reached the scene within 2 minutes and were in contact with the suspect about 3 minutes later. In total, officials say more than 100 members of law enforcement swarmed the school.
So grateful for the really brave staff here in Jefferson County and at Evergreen, and so grateful for first responders.
Colorado Representative Jeff Hurd says he's heartbroken.
Salute to Retro Gemini. I caught that too. But you said it before me. You're good, my brother. That is much love to you. How ironic. 47 with number 47 in office. But guess what? It's gonna go up. It's going up.
As a father of 5, Governor Jared Polis is reminding students about free mental health resources. Colorado Senator John Hickenlooper says Congress should find a bipartisan solution to stop school shootings.
If there were a terrorist trying to hurt our country, what more harmful thing could they do but to make our children scared to learn, scared to go to school, right? We're terrorizing ourselves.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
All right. So that was that. Colorado. Here's another article on it.
This morning, new details in the deadly Colorado shooting that sent several students to the hospital.
All fire departments respond on an active assailant.
A flurry of 911 calls poured in Wednesday just after noon from Evergreen High School. Students there in a panic, seen on this Ring camera video taken next door, running away, desperate for help.
I was scared and I felt like sick because I was worried.
Police say the suspect, a male student, opened fire with a revolver handgun, shooting a pair of students in front of others. Both of them rushed to the hospital in critical condition, along with a third student with unknown injuries.
2 patients with CPR, need another ambulance to all of them.
This is the scariest thing you could ever think that could happen. They don't know if our suspect is old enough to even drive.
Hundreds of officers racing to the scene. Authorities say they found the suspect had suffered a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He was pronounced dead at the hospital hours later. Investigators now searching his home and locker, looking for clues as to why this happened. Parents shaken, lining up to reunite with their children at a nearby school.
I'm incredibly blessed that I get to hug Brenner tonight and put him to bed and see him wake up tomorrow. Not every parent is that lucky.
Hey, Hito, do you like Messi? Do you like Ronaldo?
This morning,
I don't know what the hell that was. But family. What is going on?
Morning new detail.
What is going on? Let me remove this real quick.
Oh, you have kick?
There we go. Had to remove that. I don't know what was going on, but I was hearing some talking in the background after that video was over. But family, this is the situation that they refuse to talk about. And since they refuse to talk about it, since they refuse to talk about Nabisco barbarism as a culture, they're, like I said, they're breeding the very next generation of these folks. The next school shooter. The next mass shooter. Before we get to this next segment, let me give a shout out to Red Joker once again for his page. I expose pedos and racists, or racists and pedos, excuse me. Because we got to go here. We got to go here because while they're out here trying to make us look like the faces of criminality, it's coming in out their own houses. Breaking. Teen arrested for threatening to shoot up school in Falmouth, Massachusetts. Has anyone heard of this? This actually happened yesterday. Let's go here, family.
Chilling intentions. Tonight, a teenager is accused of threatening a school shooting on Cape Cod. Police say the evidence they collected at his home was deeply troubling. Thanks for being with us tonight. I'm Lisa Hughes.
And I'm David Wade. As Tammy Mutasa shows us, police believe that he may have been planning to make his own weapon.
Tonight, school leaders were so disturbed by the former Falmouth High School student's alleged threats, they asked police to issue a no trespass order against him at all Falmouth schools. Investigators say he was also obsessed with the Columbine school shooting.
I mean, it's your worst nightmare.
18-year-old Ian Fotheringham is being held without bail, accused of plotting to shoot up a Falmouth school.
To hear any sort of school shooting threat was alarming.
In August, investigators say they were tipped off by mental health counselors that Fotheringham indicated he wanted to shoot up a school and was refurbishing firearms in his room. Detectives didn't find any illegal guns when they searched his house, but they did find his journal with writings obsessing about the Columbine school shooters and rambling saying, "I hate it here. Dumb expletives should be shot." Then in early September, school monitors told police they spotted the 18-year-old walking by a playground at T-Ticket Elementary, casing the school.
We actually never were told that it was our children's school, that it was T-Ticket Elementary School.
Parents are frustrated. They say they didn't hear about that incident until now.
The communication that we did receive from the district fell short of what I would consider to be satisfactory as far as feeling safe about sending my children to school on Monday.
The concerns about Fotheringham go back to last October. Investigators say the former Falmouth high schooler made threats against the school, saying he was going to hide weapons on the hill behind the restaurant behind the school. The Cape and Islands DA saying a potential tragedy was prevented in this case.
I feel so safe with my daughter in their hands. I want that to be clear. But that's for a normal school day. And this isn't a normal school day. And so I would have liked to see something more.
We reached out to Falmouth schools. We're still waiting to hear back. The suspect is expected back in court next Tuesday to see if he's considered a danger to the community. In Falmouth, Tammy Mutasa, WBZ News.
All right. So, that ain't the only one, though, family. In the same day, in the very same day, gotta go here. Breaking. Teen from North Carolina arrested. North Carolina. Ain't that where the stabbing happened with Irena? Teen arrested from North Carolina for threatening mass violence at University of Louisville, spreading terror and fear across the college campus. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. If you didn't think there were more, oh,
yes, but we are not done yet.
There's more. Let's get over here, family. Give me 1 second here. Okay, family. I'm just going to read the article because this video is not the clip. So, 18-year-old Davie County man accused of threats against University of Louisville deputies. Deputies said they responded to the home and identified Michael Tedder, 18, as the person responsible. Family, they're getting younger and younger, aren't they? 18, they're both
Developing this
18
evening,
too?
a woman is behind bars after deputies say she made threats against children
Hold
at a
on,
local
family.
school. Investigators say it happened during a live
at the age of
I don't know what is going on here. Maybe I'll close that out. I just keep hearing things pop on. All right. Oh, this ain't that long of an article either, huh? All right. Well, let's get into it. Advance, North Carolina. An 18-year-old man from Advance, North Carolina was arrested Friday after authorities said he made threats of mass violence against the University of Louisville. I just call it Louisville. In Kentucky, according to Davie County Sheriff's Office. The Davie County Sheriff's Office said it was called by the University Police Department for assistance at about 4:43 p.m. Investigators determined the threat originated from an address on Brigham and Park Road in Davie County. Deputies responded to the home and identified Michael Tedder, 18, as the person responsible. He was charged with one count of communicating a threat of mass violence on educational property and was placed in the Davie County Jail with no bond, awaiting his first appearance, deputies said. The investigation is ongoing. Stay with WFMY. This is another one that doesn't have any other articles. I pulled this one up because this one was the only dang article. I couldn't find a news clip, nothing. I thought that this was a news clip, but this is an hour-long, it looks like a 2-hour-long news broadcast. So the clip might be in here, but I don't want to go through that looking for it. So, family, as you can see, they're talking about us, but it's them. It's in their own houses. It's in their own backyards. It has nothing to do with us. The criminality, that's all up on their side of America, but they're so busy trying to shine a light over on our side of America. And family, everyone around the world sees the hypocrisy. And you know that they do. Salute to SJ. Thank you for being here, family. Yes, the children of the corn. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's exactly what you're seeing. The children of the corn actually growing and coming out of the corn patches. Salute to JoJo1. Thank you for being here. Much love to you. Family, when I say that other countries are seeing it, the hypocrisy, the two-tier justice system. This is from The Spectator. This is from The Spectator. Now, The Spectator is a British publication, but we're going to get into it. We're going to get into it. Ariana Zaruska and the reality of American two-tier justice. This was released on the 10th. The same day, Charlie Kirk went home to see the devil. All right, let's get into this article here. Under Trumpism, the old certainties no longer hold and are starting to ebb away. Do illegal immigrants really have an unavoidable, an unlimited right of appeal against deportation? Probably not. Is America honored bound to defend small nations against aggressors. It isn't. People don't really believe in the ruling pieties anymore, yet they do not know what should replace them. They don't believe in them, but they don't know what should replace them. In this sense, Trump, who has only ever presented himself as a figure of expedience, really is the man of the hour. The old certainties remain, however. Even when all the illegals are deported and all the troops come home, Americans will still take it more or less for granted that they will live under a system of justice and administrations that's explicitly racialized. In Britain, which Donald Trump is visiting next week, the slogan of the day is two-tier justice. Give me 1 second, family. Get a little drink of water. The slogan of the day is two-tier justice. The meme spread after it was noticed that last summer's nationalist rioters and social media users were treated more harshly than many violent criminals who happened to be illegal immigrants or ethnic minorities. Harshly? More harshly? I'm not surprised. Like I said, it's coming from Britain. But the difference is, what it seems like they're trying to do in this article is say that the two-tier justice system benefits us more than them. When we just went through those three cases, those three situations, and the only person that was uplifted in those three situations was Irina Zaruska, a Ukrainian. In the American justice system, it proudly two-tier. In America, the justice system is proudly two-tier. Judges and DAs will avoid that they use sentencing and prosecutorial discretion in service of racial equity or to right historical wrongs. Family, who the hell are they lying about? Because every dang court case in most courtrooms, they use their system and their power against us. Like I said, you can go back and watch my first broadcast of my first video on A Story of Two Americas when we were talking about Kyle Rittenhouse and how the judge in that case acted as if he was the defense attorney for Kyle Rittenhouse. How the judge made it known that you can't call the victims victims. How he basically only hit him. Really, I think even the gun charge was tossed. So what the hell is this Brit talking about? Oh, yeah. Salute the bad. She said, no matter what, always blame it on the blacks. It's all on the blacks. It's all their fault. They're the criminals. Even though we got criminals coming out of our bedrooms, out of our closets, out of our laundry rooms, out of our backyards, out of our sinks, out of our kitchens. We got white supremacists coming out of everywhere, shooting up everything. But yet the problem is just blacks. It's the blacks. Under desperate impact, Title VII of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, anything but a state of perfection, a perfect equality between the races can be grounds for litigation. There is a more than plausible link between this and the murder of Irina Zaruska in Charlotte, North Carolina, allegedly at the hands of DeCarlos Brown Jr., a black recidivist. A black recidivist criminal. Oh, geez. Brown has been arrested 14 times in a dozen years. In a dozen years. And charged with armed robbery, shoplifting, and injury to personal property. He is one of a kind. He is one of the kinds of figures that this system allows to run amok. Interesting. The system allows to run amok. In Britain, the Attorney General Lord Hermer takes pain to deny that the justice system is two-tiered and deems the term offensive. In America, two-tierness is celebrated and defended. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that the civil rights legislation of 1964, 1965 represented the moral prop of the entire social order. Without it, much of what we now call wokeness ceased to exist. So wokeness comes from the Civil Rights Act. Interesting. And it was one that's been left largely untouched, even in this profane age. Donald Trump posting on True Social, I was born woke too. I can guarantee you that. Both eyes open. Okay. Posting on True Social about Zaruska's murder dwelt mostly on the party political dimension. Vote for Michael Whately for United States Senate. Declared the president, referring to the North Carolina midterm elections next year. He won't let this happen again. He also spoke of the folly of cashless bail. Yet, experience has shown that so long as two-tier just I can't. They're really trying to make it seem like they're prejudiced in our favor. Jewish prejudice is in place. Any tough on crime policies are vulnerable to moral counteract. So they're saying that as long as the two-tier system rules in our favor, even though it doesn't rule in our favor, it never has. I don't want to say never has, but for the most part, the white supremacist system has always used that system, the court system, in order to demonize Black Americans, in order to overly punish Black Americans. Salute Kid Gravity. Thank you for being here, family. Much love to you. As when the era of super predators and broken windows theory gave way to the era of Obama and George Floyd. Almost everything reigning piety, almost every reigning piety has now come in for some deconstruction, except this one. The system that lets someone like DeCarlos Brown Jr. lose touches, touches every aspect of American life. A whole political culture has grown up around it. The morale, familialism of people like Carmelo Anthony's relatives. So now they done jumped over and switched from this whole situation with this Irina Zaruska, and now they're trying to pull it back over to Carmelo Anthony. It's amoral. Familianism. Interesting. Who raised $515,000 in donations after he was accused of killing fellow teenager Austin Metcalf. The Shakedown NGOs, the Nubulous and Needless to say, unelected community leaders, the unquestioned moral authority of the Black churches. See how deep they're going with this when it comes to criminal justice. So now the Black churches, they're being implemented as well. So it's all the Black community. It's the Justice Department, apparently. It's all the courts, all ruling in favor of us and not the Nabisco. These are failures. Interesting. Very interesting. Black churches. I can't even believe they just tossed in the Black churches. This in a supposedly sector error. The hokey sub-Dickensian narrative of how various criminals were just about to turn their lives around before they happen to murder someone. Americans have rightly grown disillusioned with nearly every aspect of their society. They should now take another look at this last great redoubt of difference. So this whole article is saying, yeah, we see the two-tier justice system. And we see the hypocrisy of the two-tier justice system. But the people that they say is benefiting from the hypocrisy are us. Family, like I said, these folks are going to be getting more of this because they refuse to call out what the real issue is. They're going to be getting more of this because they refuse to call out the barbarism, the barbaric culture that the white supremacists partake in, protect, and hold in high esteem. Oh, yeah. Remember how they demonized the black church with President Obama's pastor? Yeah. The Boondocks make that even more funnier than it needed to be. But family, like I said, these folks, they need to worry about their own communities. You can't make us the face of criminality while ignoring school shooters who look like you, mass shooters that look like you. And it was so great, so karmatic, that while y'all was trying to run around here, the white supremacists trying to make all black people the face of criminality once again over a Ukrainian woman by the name of Irina Zaruska. On the 10th, when it was getting really big, Charlie Kirk caught that heater to the neck. And by catching that heater to the neck, it showed the complete real hypocrisy of what's really going on and who really is the face of criminality. Let's be very clear. But family, I wanted to bring this once again. Like I said, this is the part 3 of the Tale of Two Americas, because we have so many different instances. To be honest with you, I should have 70 to 100 parts already. But 3 is good. It's enough to show people how we consistently have a different justice system when we're talking about Nabiscos versus when we're talking about black folk. How even when the Nabisco is responsible for something, they got to point at black folk. Hell, the situation, and shout out to KG for that live that you did earlier, the situation where a Nabisco killed one of their favorite Nabiscos have turned to a situation, instead of holding that Nabisco accountable, these people have gone and started a whole directory listing people who is either making fun of or saying that it was a good thing that Charlie Kirk is gone, and listing and doxing them by listing all of their work information. This is how far they're willing to take it when they don't want to hold somebody accountable in their community. And yes, that is a huge class action lawsuit, because X is facilitating it. They're allowing them to post that information. So I can't wait to see which attorney picks that case up. But this is how far they're willing to go so that they don't have to look in the mirror. So that they don't have to look in their child's face and ask themselves the question, is this kid going to kill me one day? Is this kid going to be the next mass shooter? That's what it is. But if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell so you can be notified whenever videos like this drop. Please make sure you're hitting that like and share button so we can bop, bop, bop beat up the algorithm. Make sure we get this message out to the ears that need to hear. And if you have not done so yet, please click that link in the description. Go to change.org and put your signature on the petition for reparations. Yes, family. We live in a two-tier justice system. And no matter what anybody say, we're not the beneficiaries of the people who benefit from that two-tier justice system. We're the oppressed in that two-tier justice system. And while y'all running around here trying to say that everyone should be afraid of the oppressed people in the two-tier justice system, all you're doing is breeding your own karma. I'd like to thank everybody who's donated, whether by Cash App, Super Chat, whatever. I'd like to thank everybody who's here, all my members, my mods, everybody who's going to catch this back on the replay. Family, I refuse to let anybody try to tell me or make us the face of anything when it's right here in their face. These two situations is the same damn day. Yesterday. The Colorado shooting. That was the same day as Charlie Kirk. So, God dang it, don't come to me trying to tell me about criminality. You need to be worried about your Nabisco criminality, your barbaristic culture. But with that being said, family, the doors of the church are now closed. Oh, salute to our sister Bad 72 for the Cash App. I appreciate you, and the buzzer beater. Much love to you. Your donation is blessed tenfold, and I appreciate your contributions, my sister. But with that being said, family, the doors of the church are now closed. You enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Peace, family.
My grandfather built this country, man. He fought wars for it. And most places he went wouldn't let him sit down and get a cup of coffee. I can't even catch a cab in New York. You know, it doesn't matter how many degrees I get. All you people see is color. Your grandfather was an immigrant. You're American. My grandfather was born here, Duke. And you people still look at me as just another nigga.
I know that the government, whatever can't stand us black people, he doing everything in the world to make black man be extinct. But I'm going to tell you one thing, us black people going to survive. Yeah. So fuck everybody. I'm out.